My name is Sid Haas. I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at LKCS, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar on building forms and increasing conversions with Formstack. We're joined today actually by two people, and I apologize for not including that on the slide, but myself and we're joined by Bryce DeHart with Formstack. So I want to introduce Bryce. Bryce, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Sid, and happy to be here. I'm the partner growth manager with Formstack. Essentially, what that means is I manage our consulting partnerships. So partnerships with our partners like LKCS and Sid and his team. Like I said, excited to be here and looking forward to the webinar.
And then we're also joined by Jennifer Killian. Jennifer's with IAA Credit Union, and she's one of our customers that uses Formstack on a regular basis.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Killian. I'm the marketing manager at IAA Credit Union. I've been with the credit union for 3 years now, and we've been working with LKCS even before I started. Sid introduced us to Formstack, and this is the new go-to for all of our contact forms and all forms on our website. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. So we will proceed with the presentation. So, I mean, obviously, a big driver for using electronic forms and needing electronic forms is improving paper-based processes, right? Everybody's trying to get away from paper because we know that it saves time, it saves money, and I think most importantly is it improves, the user experience. Obviously we're all going through these strange times right now, and it's changing all of our business operations, and certainly that need to improve our digital experience is a huge business driver at the moment. So some of the reasons that LKCS centered on Formstack and why we're encouraging customers to take a look at it are some of the things we're obviously going to be talking about in a lot more detail today. First, when you look at what Formstack has to offer, it has some amazing features and some really, really tremendous capabilities, and it's available at any scale. So, whether you need just a few forms or you need hundreds or thousands of forms to support a very large organization, Formstack can handle it. It has an extremely user-friendly interface, and I think that's something that Jennifer can definitely, talk about as well. It really does offer programming-free form building. Our web development staff is actually liking the ability to create forms with Formstack as opposed to their traditional programming methods. And all of those forms are fully responsive. So you don't have to be a web developer. You don't have to know any code to create really, really not only good looking forms, but what we would consider difficult forms with a lot of logic and things like that. And we'll get into that, as we go. And it's a perfectly secure platform. So it's tremendously secure with, extremely advanced form processing. And we've integrated it for customers on the webinar today that are familiar with LKCS's Forms Manager, which is part of our tool suite. We've integrated Formstack directly, so form results flow directly into our tool suite so that you can route form results just like you are from any other forms on your website. But you'll see, as we go through, that one of the other key reasons that we think clients will really, really like what Formstack has to offer is the number of integrations that it has with just about all of the most popular web services, CRM platforms, marketing automation platforms, you name it. And things like Zapier that it integrates with lets you connect Formstack to just about any platform, any web service, web application that you might need. So lots of different features, lots of capabilities that really make Formstack, appealing for you. And then when you look at some of the statistics out there, some of the reasons, again, business drivers for you to adopt these types of technologies, 88% of banking organizations are afraid of losing revenue to fintechs out there in the areas of payments and money transfers and personal loans. We're all aware of that. So how do we compete with this? Well, we compete with it by improving, our digital footprints, and our websites and our capabilities of allowing members and customers to conduct business online. And we can do that by providing, again, a way to get rid of these paper-based forms, and by making people come into our branches to sign papers when we can digitize forms and provide a digital workflow. We know that our account holders want that personal service, and they want that freedom of mobile banking and online banking and access to information, and they want processes that are fast and that are easy, and they want less paper, right? So they want that convenience of what they think is only available at the biggest banks, but they want that personalized service that they know they can get at their local financial institution. And we can deliver all of that in a variety of ways. But when you really look at those paper processes and those forms and how you can digitize those, it really makes sense to be able to use a tool like this. And for those of you on the webinar today, you want a complete view, obviously, of your account holders. You want processes that work, right? And you want to keep those users engaged. So you want to make sure that not only can you give them access to these types of tools, but that they can use them. And you want to leverage opportunities to upsell, cross-sell and expand that relationship. And you also want less paperwork. So really it's a win-win, because you'll see as we talk more and more about the Formstack solution and their technology stack as a whole, it solves all of these challenges. So the problem that you have right now is that your systems, the traditional systems, can't keep up with demand, right? You have data that's being collected by different systems. You've got a lot of manual processes. You're getting paperwork, and then you're having to rekey that paperwork. You have the problem now in a lot of cases of incomplete forms, or forms being filled out improperly with inconsistent formats. You have to have forms approved, those types of things, without any control over that data. We can fix all of that, right? We can fix it with form validation, which is super, super easy. And we can fix it with tooltips, explaining what a form field, what type of information we need. And we can obviously, connect, again, all of these systems and make sure that the data going into the information going into the form and the data coming out of the form is exactly in the format that you need. And most importantly, we can get rid of that paper. We can get rid of that need for fax machines that nobody has anymore, and that need to be at a branch or in person, which is really hampering, a lot of growth. So there's three main goals, we think, when it comes to increasing engagement and conversion. You need to digitize as much as possible for new account, new customer, new member acquisition. So you need to find those easy wins. You need to automate as many internal processes as possible. Again, look for those fast wins, so fast and easy. And you need to interact with people where they are, right? So you need to find those contextual wins. You need to interact with people on their mobile devices, on their tablets, and on their laptops and desktop computers. And Bryce, I know, is going to come back to those contextual wins and then those 3 points as he continues with the presentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Sid. So here you guys can see, we got a nice little representation of how we all feel about paper-based processes. And yeah, so really appreciate you kind of teeing this up, Sid, and kind of talking through, scalable solutions with digital forms and kind of, expanding beyond those paper-based processes. So just to kind of take a quick look at Formstack, let's kind of zoom out and just really dive into what Formstack offers here and kind of where we sit among other solutions in the market. So we are an established market leader. I won't kind of go through each of the numbers there. I'll I'll let you guys really read through that, but two things I really want to point out here is that customer satisfaction. So we have very high customer retention, and that's because our solutions are built to be scalable, right? So and Jennifer will get into this shortly as she speaks through their use case and how they've implemented Formstack along with LKCS's services as well. You'll see, the scalability here. That's really our primary focus, is building a scalable process for digitizing your paper-based processes, right? Also worth mentioning here is that we have processed $150 million and over $150 million in financial charges, and that's just something to note out, that you can actually use our forms to process payments there among those submissions as well. So kind of taking a deeper dive, moving along to our specific products. If there's a paper-based process, we like to say we have a digital solution for it. So we're going to go really deep into the form solution here, but we also have some other let's say products that go along with those solutions as well to really build a full end-to-end digital process for your paper-based solution. So just to mention a few here, our full product gamut. Custom online forms, as we're going to be discussing there. Flexible document generation and delivery. So taking those form submissions from your clients and then basically processing those taking that data that's captured and processing those into a document for delivery. You can think about a few processes there. Maybe you have a receipt that you need to generate, or maybe you have a document that you need to present back to the customer via email. To basically, let's say, validate that form that they've submitted. That's a few of those use cases there. And then also e-signature. So not every document needs to be signed, but there are a lot out there, especially within the financial services realm. And that e-signature piece there is going to be key there to capture those signatures and to store those back away, both for the customer for their records and for the financial institution's records as well. Again, kind of drilling down deeper into what the client experience looks like as you're using these digital processes. Formstack Forms is, where your client is going to be interfacing with you. And we offer a number of different solutions here to make sure that you're building out, the most, let's say, on-brand and functional forms that you can with our system. So just thinking through a couple of things here, a couple of key features to keep in mind. Design and branding. So building out those form templates. We have a number of form templates kind of pre-built, or you can build those from scratch. LKCS does an incredible job of developing these forms alongside their customers and building those and making sure that they are on brand and developed to really match exactly what they're hoping for their clients to see, to interact with. Some drag and drop functionality. So really focusing in on that no code type solution where you're building these forms, not by developing HTML and JavaScript, that kind of thing, but really building out functional forms and complex, conditional type logic, all within the form builder that's provided within Formstack's Forms solution. And a few other key functionalities just to point out here. Save and resume. So let's say we have that client who's filling out a rather large form. We've all done it before, and we're completing the form. The ability to kind of save that and come back to complete it later. Maybe you need to upload some supporting documents. Maybe I want to upload a photo, and I don't have my phone on me at that moment. I don't have a picture on me at the moment, but I need to go get that. Well, I can save the form, go grab that supporting documentation, and then complete the form later. You don't have to lose that form submission. Also, accessibility is a key focus of ours. Also worth mentioning there, security as well. So each of our Formstack forms are built to be WCAG and level A accessibility, are built against these level A accessibility standards. So if we think about the kind of standards that you're going to come across when you are hosting these forms on your website, and someone who is maybe disabled and they need to be able to access these forms with a screen reader. So those are all key things to keep in mind as you are presenting these forms to your customers. Not everyone is going to be able to fill out complete a form online the same way. So our forms are built to be screen reader compliant out of the box here with ADA compliance as well. And let's say you've already, digitized your process and you are using forms from another provider, and maybe that process or those forms, that solution didn't really feature needs, and you need to scale above and beyond that. We also have a form importer that's built directly into our product. So if you've built it in another solution, you can actually take those forms and import them into our solution via that form importer. Kind of in addition to the features that are offered with our, let's say, our base forms product, one fantastic thing about partnering with consulting agencies like LKCS is taking their expertise and incorporating it into the features offered within our products. So we think through LKCS and their focus on marketing, we're able to leverage their expertise on the with these additional features, where, let's say, A/B testing, where you have two separate versions of a form and you want to test against that, and let's say see which one of those forms is going to perform the best for its given function, right? And then partial submissions as well. So we've all seen where form abandonment, people are completing forms, they'll begin to fill it out. So capturing those partial submissions, these are the kind of insights that you're going to expect, or that you can expect from LKCS and Formstack building those forms and developing these solutions for your industry, or for your customers. Field bottlenecks as well. So capturing those when the form is actually abandoned, let's say, being able to see once those forms and what the customer came across. Maybe it was an email, maybe you were asking for a specific, let's say, next step, or to upload some documentation, seeing where that dropped off. And then additional, let's say, routing and workflow development, analytics, and UTM tracking as well. So many features that can be kind of added on top of those products, along with the LKCS bundled features that we are offering, in addition to the Formstack, let's say, base level functionality. So how is this going to impact your clients? This really kind of goes back to what Sid was saying earlier in regards to those three key goals. So easy, fast, and context, right? So meeting your clients where they are. Clients can easily access their information and know it's secure. So security is one of our, let's say, our primary focuses here at Formstack. And these processes being developed in conjunction with these forms. A paper-based process, you're not going to, these pieces of paper are not going to be able to, let's say, be used in a way where you're going to avoid the double entry, and that these forms being digital, you have developed the conditional logic, where the form's going to kind of flow through and avoid those unnecessary questions when possible. So, if they've answered a question and let's say completing the form down a specific route is no longer necessary, you're able to shorten up that form and build it out in a way that's much more easy for that, and quicker for the client to complete. You're also able to, with a digital form, add explanations that a paper process you can't have. We've all completed those forms in the past where you'll have multiple additional documents that come along with the form as you're completing it, and they're mainly, let's say, for reference back to kind of give you additional instructions on exactly how you need to fill out that form. Well, with these digital forms, you're able to actually add those explanations directly into the form itself as you're completing it. Obviously, less time spent managing paperwork and for the clients, and you're also able to meet the customer where they are. So that context of being able to deliver a form and have it completed by text, email, and be able to present, let's say, those notifications within those devices as well. And that's built-in functionality there within those digital forms processes. Now, what is that financial institution, and what's that impact going to like for your financial institution? So we're capturing those forms that are submitted by your clients, and there's a number of obvious benefits here. So decreasing the time to acquire new members and customers as we're meeting them where they are, delivering, let's say, presenting them with a faster, easier process to onboard those customers. So makes it much quicker. Continuing to build client profiles better. So you're not capturing additional information. You're not capturing duplicate information. You're able to get more meaningful information about the customer than you would typically be able to get through those paper-based processes, and much quicker and easier. And you can enforce, say, form validation with these digital forms. So you're never going to capture incomplete or incorrect, data from those customers and end users and your clients. And then obviously, less time internally managing that paperwork, managing those form submissions and, say, importing them into your systems, because of the vast number of integrations that you offer at Formstack. Those integrations are going to feed that data directly into your systems. So just kind of closing out here from the Formstack side of things. A few things to mention, and just to make sure that your digital data capture solutions have. If you're taking notes, if you really want to kind of walk away with a screenshot, I'd say this would be one of them. As you're thinking through solutions, these are the things that you'd really want to make sure that let's say you have on hand and have in mind as you're building those solutions out. I'm going to turn it back over to Sid and let him talk through a number of let's say, more specific use cases and how they're using Formstack for their customers.
Yeah. So, as Bryce was alluding to, and as we've been talking about some of the features in kind of a broader, scope, how we can use it, I wanted to, I guess, share just some more specific examples of how, we can leverage this type of functionality, for real impact, obviously, at your banks and credit unions. So if you think of a member or customer application, and how you're, potentially opening these accounts today, and how we could transform that process into a digital process. So imagine that if you had a digital account application that you built in Formstack, and we had that account application form built, and it was submitted, properly with all of the information that you would capture, whether, in your typical paper form, but it would be obviously, submitted digitally. That inquiry now is going to be routed appropriately to the appropriate team or appropriate individuals, at the institution, and that's going to trigger, account setup within your systems. And then, because of the integrations that Formstack has, and we're going to be talking about this with Jennifer in a few minutes, how we can set up, trigger welcome emails to the client right away, with their account set up and their opening, deposit instructions, and then obviously trigger, future cross-sell and follow-up offers based on that initial application, what we know about that individual. And those can be different emails if it's a retail account or a commercial account, and that the possibilities are endless with those types of integrations. The client obviously completes that account setup information that's emailed to them. They sign off on all the personal information, with an e-sign document and all of that. The financial institution approves that account setup. Maybe there's even a loan application involved, right? We get all that information. All of that is e-signed. The loan application process is, completed. funds are released after, identification of employment and credit verification, and all of that happens completely electronically, as needed. So it's really a revolutionary process, and all of that data can be imported into your cores through the integrations and the electronic data capture that Formstack has available. Even without that level of account opening and that type of thing, think of using these forms as, again, we're going to talk about with the IAA example in a few minutes, for automating a lot of your feedback and a lot of your cross-sell and upsell. So use these types of forms for member surveys and customer satisfaction surveys. So you send out a survey electronically, and maybe those survey results are automatically used to generate that slide presentation that you share with your board, that you share with management, things like that, which we can also use that member survey to trigger, again, those cross-sell offers that go out to those individuals that filled out the surveys, right? So in this case, we can trigger auto emails, we can trigger emails, focusing on mobile banking, we can run any calls to action to sign up based on whatever information that individuals, gave us in that survey. So in this case, the example here is that we're going to fill out, send out an email focusing on mobile banking. The individual gets that, form to get started with, mobile banking. They fill out that new form, in a mobile banking sign-up form. That form also upsells them for a personal loan because, again, we have that information, either in the survey or through another integration, at the bank or credit union. That you guys receive that request, you can confirm their identity, enable mobile banking, and then send out that loan application. So there's all sorts of ways that we can, use automated processes, both with Formstack and then their integrations with marketing automation platforms and different things like that, to really drive new business to your institutions. And that's exactly what IAA Credit Union is doing. So, Jennifer's with us, and she'll be talking about this here with us for a few minutes, but Jennifer at IAA Credit Union launched a new website recently, but they've been using Formstack now for, I think she said, about 8 months, so even before the new website launched. But on the new website, they have about 25 forms, which is just kind of a subset of all of the different forms that they've created. But some of these forms are quite complicated, or they're, as you look at them. So they've got a lot of multi-step logic in them. Their membership form, for example, enables secure file uploads, uploading a driver's license as an example and things like that. They've actually integrated their forms with a custom Office 365 workflow. So that's how they're, routing forms kind of themselves, through the credit union. And then their contact data that they're capturing through their forms is actually synchronized with ActiveCampaign that they're using as their marketing automation platform for automated follow-up. So I just want to turn the mic, I guess, over to Jennifer for a few minutes to discuss her experience with using Formstack and the benefits that the credit union has received from it.
Thanks, Ed. So we actually started with Microsoft Forms, and I felt those forms were very clunky, I would say. There weren't a lot of options to drag and drop a lot of things, whereas Formstack, you kind of have multiple different options for the question that you're trying to answer, whether it's a checkbox, a radio button, a fill in the blank kind of thing. With Microsoft, it was kind of, I believe there's 3 options that you were given, and it was kind of just a blah form to me. I really liked the Formstack. We were able to make our own default form and kind of create it to give that look and feel of our new website. Like Sid said, we actually started taking forms off of our old website in February, and then we just launched our new website last month. So We created all of our membership forms, any of our club accounts, our adding accounts, some of the stuff that you would do in the call center or the new accounts would be involved in. We created those so that the member can feel kind of more in power and do the forms that way. We have built in a lot of logic. We are a SEG credit union, so we serve our family of companies, and there's ways that you qualify for us, but if you answer a question, are you a member, yes or no, kind of like stuff like that, there's ways that we have hidden different answers or hidden different questions and kind of moved you throughout the form. I've used them a lot. Like I said, I'm in the marketing department. I've used them a lot for lead generation. And then a member or non-member fills out the contact form and it gets routed through Microsoft Flow, and the Microsoft Flow is then tied to a Microsoft Planner that I have set up for each of the departments, the mortgage department and then our consumer department. And then the employees in those departments kind of work the leads and I can kind of keep up on everything. We just recently started integrating with ActiveCampaign and kind of starting a drip marketing where they fill out the form and then you kind of send them an email a couple days later and stuff like that. So that is something that we are getting into. That's pretty much what we've been doing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think we have three key takeaways, from the presentation today, and kind of the advantages and benefits that the solution, can provide. Obviously, we think that Formstack can revolutionize the way that you collect data and put it to work, and obviously reduce the process chaos that you have by digitizing paper-based processes and really driving that client engagement. And by using digital forms and automating that document generation and e-signature, really utilizing that entire, tech stack that Formstack has in their arsenal, you can really improve that user experience. And lastly, you're using digital forms across that entire client journey. So not just looking at, applications and loan management, but incorporating surveys and we were talking with Jennifer and some of the things that she's done with, even her kids club and just tons of ways that you might be able to incorporate short forms that you've never thought possible before because you didn't have a tool that was as user friendly as you could. So I really encourage you to take a closer look at Formstack. And we'd be happy to, schedule demonstrations or set you up, with ways to look at how easy the software is to use. So please feel free to reach out to either Bryce or myself at any point in time, and we'd be happy to get you additional information on how to use the platform. Like I said, we can demonstrate the platform to you, show you how easy it is to use, and get you the ability to drive it and use it for yourself. So we still have a few extra minutes. We'd be happy to stay on the line and answer any questions that might come in. So I do see, I do have one, Bryce, a question about whether or not Formstack is SOC 2 certified.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Sid. And yes, Formstack is SOC 2 certified. So kind of like I mentioned there earlier, security is one of our top priorities here at Formstack across each of our products. We're also PCI compliant and even HIPAA compliant. Healthcare is a big industry kind of focus of ours. HIPAA compliance being really one of those top, most difficult compliances to achieve with a data capture solution. So, reaching up into those additional those additional levels of compliance is very, very big priorities of ours. Also worth noting that we are hosted on Amazon Web Services, so all of our systems do kind of inherit that Amazon Web security hosting as well. And just in regards to data ownership too, it's worth mentioning the data is yours. So, your organization owns the submission and data and file upload data. So also worth mentioning there. And there's additional securities that you can add to your forms that are configurable within the system. So let's say you wanted to make it where your form is only accessible via password. You can build that into your form, and you can build additional encryptions as well. So yes, definitely SOC 2 compliant there.
Cool. Jennifer, a question for you. When a user is first getting started with Formstack, any tips, tricks, guidance that you might have for how to start building a form, or how did you guys get started?
I started with a very simple form. Like I said, I do a lot of the contact forms, so I started with a really simple contact form. From there, I switched over to some of our customer satisfaction surveys, which we just actually attached to ActiveCampaign. So those are being automated now with the Formstack. But actually, it's a very user-friendly platform. It's a lot of drag and drop, and then there's templates. Like Sid mentioned, I was talking to them earlier about a kids club event that I did. And we did an event and I did the RSVP through Formstack, which was really simple. And then also I did a quiz, and I kind of used, there was like an exam or something was a template, and I used that and was able to kind of manipulate it and stuff. So I would say just pretty much play around with it. My one tip would be, and this is something that I'm still trying to get used to, is test it before you go live to make sure that it all goes right, the links are working. So that would be my one tip.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you email a form is a question that came in. So email the form results, I'm guessing is the question. Bryce, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so if you think through kind of what that solution will look like, you would just need to capture the actual email on the form. So let's say you want to take those email results and you want to submit them via, you want to generate a PDF and kind of generate and send that PDF, that form submission PDF back to someone. All doable as long as you have the email captured on the form.
And are there templates of invitations, or I guess any event-related type forms in the system?
Yes, yeah, we have a number of kind of pre-built and pre-developed templates. Event forms are some of the ones that we have there, just kind of natively within the default templates there. In addition to a number of others, I think we have over 100, if I'm not mistaken.
What about personalized links to like forms? Can forms be pre-filled with some data sent out via an email, anything like that?
Yeah, so you can build in this kind of gets into those some, let's say, more advanced features within Formstack. It is a no-code platform, but we do have the ability to, let's say, build in additional functionality with let's say some API configuration and that kind of thing. As far as pre-filling from another system, so we do integrate with a number of systems. If you want to pre-fill a form for completion, you can do that via, just thinking off the top of my head here, URL parameters. And that might be too heavy, but that would be one method to do it. So it is possible you can pre-fill it from another data source and, let's say, generate that unique link for someone to complete, and it's going to grab some of their information. You also have the ability to pre-fill with those social parameters as well. So you can configure your form to pre-fill from Facebook directly from, and that would probably be a more simple use case, for just pre-filling name, really the information you're going to capture from Facebook, right? And that is functionality that's built into the platform as well. And then there's the document generation piece as well. So let's say you have a document that needs to be sent out. You can and it's really just something that needs to be sent out and for storage, or maybe you need to send out a document for signature that's the result of a form submission. You can use the data captured on the form and pre-fill that document and what we call merging that data into that document as well. So a couple of different use cases there.
So I have a question about pricing, and how does pricing work? Is it per form, or packages available? So there are packages available. It's a monthly cost, basically based on there's a pretty high number of forms and things like that. There's a number of users that would be building the forms. So if you reach out to your LKCS sales rep, we can get you all the information on pricing. Regarding that. And then there's questions about embedding forms in an LKCS email blast. And I don't know the answer, so I will have to get back to you on that. It's a question I'll have to talk to our web team about, whether we can. It might be actually a limitation or a question about whether the email clients themselves are able to do that. So let me take that question offline, and I will get an answer for you and email you about that.
Awesome. Yeah, and worth noting there, if that is possible, you can certainly attach UTM parameters or a UTM, custom
Sure.
UTM to that as well, to kind of let's say track those campaigns, so you can see the results of those clicks and your open rate and that kind of thing.
Yep. Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for attending the webinar today. Bryce, and especially Jennifer, I want to thank you guys for participating. I owe you guys both. So thank you very much for your help, and I hope that the information we presented was valuable. If anybody has any questions, again, would like to schedule a demonstration, please feel free to reach out to me at any time, and we'll get you get you set up with additional information. So thank you, and have a terrific afternoon.
Awesome. Thanks, Sid. Thanks, Jennifer. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.